Hey, Nick Fundytus here, and this is Nick Answers Reddit for the week ending June 7th, 2024. Wow, I'm really off on my dates today. So this one is about a seller being in breach of contract and a home buyer not knowing what to do. So here goes. It says, I don't know if I'm needing an event or I need advice or I need to hear from others that have experienced something similar, but I don't know what to do, so I'm posting to see what people say in the morning. Basically, my wife and I bought a detached house and sold our condo. We were really excited as it's a cute little century home in our most desired area and bought it as a forever home. I'm done moving and I just want to settle down into a place until I die. Sure. It is owned by a landlord, however, and they have tenants. The tenants were given and agreed to an N12, this is important, and received compensation for the termination of their lease, and were given 3 months to find a new place. Now, about 1 month out from closing, they have just informed the landlords, which was relayed to us, that they changed their minds and are refusing to move. Our lawyers basically said we have two options. So one, extend the closing date so the tenants can keep looking for a place, assuming they're even looking for one, or two, terminate the agreement of purchase and sale due to the seller's breach of contract. Now, regardless of either option, because we sold our condo, we'll be homeless in a month, and we need to put all of our belongings into some kind of storage and find a place to rent or something. Since finding out, my wife has slumped into a depression. She's barely eating. She's really upset about this. And I'm really angry about it. So how screwed are we? I'm paraphrasing there. So, tough spot. But here's my advice on this. This is certainly something that does happen in real estate, and there are ways to deal with it. So first of all, sorry to hear that you've ended up in this situation. It's obviously no fault of your own here, but hopefully this and some other advice that is given in this thread will help you navigate this. So I'm giving this advice as a realtor. I've had to navigate a very similar situation this year, in fact, and I'm very familiar with what each party's rights and responsibilities are here. So first of all, the facts. So based on your mention of an N12, I'm going to assume that this is an Ontario situation. Which is where I work as well. The tenant does have a right to make an appeal to the landlord-tenant board. So they are technically not doing anything illegal here. In this case, it's unfortunate. I don't necessarily think it's right what they are doing, since they have been offered compensation, said they would accept it, and then changed their minds. But the due process needs to be followed here, and it's even if they've changed their minds in bad faith, it's not really worth debating. It's frustrating, but it's not worth losing sleep over something that you have no control over, especially because there's other important work to do here right now. 3, so if the seller has agreed to wording that the property will be delivered vacant to you on closing, and I really hope that you have this in the agreement of purchase and sale, then they will be in breach of contract on closing day if the tenant is not out. This is a them problem. It's an everybody problem, but it's particularly, they're the ones at fault here for promising that. I'm assuming that there is vacant possession wording in your agreement of purchase and sale. If not, it's kind of a different ballgame here, so do let me know. It also sounds like you're quite excited about the house, and I'm going to assume that your desired outcome of all of this is to close on the home and move in. If that's not the case, you have different recourses. You may be able to walk away from the purchase if the seller is in breach, and then you go look for a different house. But I'm going to assume that you want to close. So here are my recommendations. First of all, at some point, if this tenant remains, they're going to need to go to a hearing. You're going to need to have a hearing at the landlord-tenant board. So ask your lawyer right now if a hearing can be requested with the landlord-tenant board at this point, or if it has to wait till closing has actually, the date has come. If it can be requested now, well, that gets things going a month earlier than if you wait till closing. So go do that. Lawyer. So did I mention about landlord-tenant board? Yeah, landlord-tenant board is underfunded and it's backed up several months. So it means that any hearing that might rule in your favor is going to happen after the scheduled closing. Next is lawyer. So your lawyer is recommending either extending the closing date by mutual agreement with the seller or terminating the agreement. I don't really love either of these options. So the first I don't love because you're extending the closing date potentially with no penalty to the seller who has screwed up here, or terminating the agreement. You want this house, you want and need a place to live, so I don't see how that really solves your problems either. Based on my experience, these are not the only two options, and I would be inclined to use legal options here. The threat of suing to exert pressure on the sellers to close on time. Yeah, or even if it's delayed. So if your lawyer is unwilling to go this route or cannot satisfactorily explain to you why they think these are your only two options, then get another legal opinion. So go talk to another lawyer, go talk to a third lawyer if you want. I have a strong, I mean, I am not myself a lawyer, but I have a strong feeling based on experience that there are other options available to you. So although you do want to maintain a collaborative atmosphere with the seller, because I mean, they're not any happier to be in this situation than you are, it should be clear that you are very willing to pursue them for specific performance of the contract, meaning that they need to close, and for reimbursement of damages, so your cost of renting, moving twice, etc., that come from the delay. They should be seriously weighing the cost of what that might be versus, what it would cost just to pay the seller to move out or pay the tenant to move out. Sorry. So you need to exert pressure on them here. So renting, third point. Now, regardless of what's going to happen on closing day, it would be very wise now, like today, to go look at securing someplace to rent. So this is going to be a headache and a hassle. There's no way around that. But sticking your head in the sand and waiting till closing day and hoping it works out is not a plan. So start looking now while you still have some runway before closing. Plan for the worst case scenario where you could be in the home, you could be in someplace renting for up to a year while getting that tenant out of your target property there, which, I mean, it's likely going to be under a year, but it's probably going to be more than 6 months based on current timelines. Okay, so the long and short here is you're not screwed. So first of all, don't lose hope here. There may be a scenario where the tenant agrees to leave with sufficient, I want to talk about being pragmatic. I missed that step. So as another Redditor did mention in the thread, there may be a scenario where the tenant agrees to leave if they're given sufficient compensation and they sign an 11 form. Now, this could potentially come from the seller and one or both of the realtors. But there's a situation where you might kick in a certain amount too. Is it fair for you to have to pay extra in this case? No, you didn't do anything wrong. But the worst thing you can say in any business transaction is, oh, it's the principle of the thing. Fuck that, okay? The way, if I were in your case, I get it. It would be a tough pill to swallow, my pride, when I felt wronged by this tenant and the seller and Doug Ford and everybody else that I think screwed up. But I would try and focus on the long-term benefit of avoiding legal action and moving into the home that I'm excited about. It may be cheaper for you to kick in some money now than to go the legal route in the end and go through all that hassle and everything. So finally, the long story short is you aren't screwed here, but there's going to be some pain in your future. At the end of all this, you are going to be able to move in your home, and you're not going to lose it just because the tenant didn't want to move out. So keep legal pressure up on the sellers and don't give them an out by extending closing unless there's compensation attached with that. So like a reduction in the purchase price or cash, or some sort of way of making it right to you. They are the ones that are in potential breach of this agreement, and you need them to be part of the solution. So don't let them off the hook. Now, lastly, as much as it's tempting to be frustrated with everyone from the tenant to the provincial government and everyone else involved, and there are flaws there, don't waste time on it. But do keep in mind, the next time that we have a provincial election, focus your energy on getting everyone involved, moving on what they can do to get this solved and get everyone to the closing table in the end. So good luck. I'm sure that all of us in this post would be very excited to see how this turns out, because it's a dramatic situation, and I hope it goes well for you. Hope this was helpful. I'm a realtor in Ottawa, and so that's why I know these things. Bye for now.